Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy, Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back. I'm back with part 2 of What If Deku had a telekinesis quirk. And if you guys enjoy, make sure to show some love by leaving a like, leaving a sub, leaving a comment down below, all that good stuff. And like I said, I hope y'all enjoy. And I'm not going to waste that much more of your time because I just want to get right into the what if. Let's get it. Izuku Midoriya is ready for the UA entrance exam. And now it's time for the true test to really begin. The practical is where everybody shines, is where everybody can show off their quirk and show what they're capable of. And that's exactly what Izuku Midoriya is going to do and needs to do. So he's going to blast forward through these gates and do exactly what needs to be done. When the gates would swing open for Izuku to walk forward, he would realize something. He would realize something in himself, in his mind, and so on, that he needs to truly be happy during this time. He's finally here. He's finally made it. Even if he fails right here, falls flat on his face, he made the jump to finally get to this point. He smiles and he blasts forward faster than anybody could possibly imagine. Izuku would go darting forward at insane speeds, flying forward, looking toward every single robot in front of him. He begins to more or less use his telekinesis to smash and drag and slam every robot in his path. A smile would grow on his face and an image of a person would render in his mind. All Might. All Might would protect everybody and win every fight with a smile. That's exactly what All Might would do. So what happens if he takes on that same mantra? What if he doesn't allow himself to be necessarily calm? He allows himself to be happy, to greet everybody with a smile, and he'll greet every robot in front of him with one. Smashing robot after robot, his smile grows and his happiness grows as well, and it seems like his quirk control is sharpened on top of it. He obliterates a ton of robots in a matter of seconds, in a matter of a minute or so. This telekinesis quirk seems so strong that it could straight up flatten buildings. After it all said and done, he would fly up to the top of a building and sit down. He would look over the top, seeing everybody trying their absolute hardest to make it into UA, absolute hardest to make it to the next step. Izuku would smile as he watches everybody, and he jumps off the building as he begins to float toward the exit, knowing that he's done enough. But what he didn't know and what he didn't understand was that the 0 Point robot was going to be used as a hurdle, as an obstacle. And when that 0 Point robot would reveal itself, it would reveal itself more or less putting somebody else in an extremely bad position. Izuku would look over to see that someone is on the ground and is about to, well, die, get smashed by this giant robot. Izuku, with a smile still on his face, unwavering, he dashes forward at insane speeds and stands in front of the girl, making a barrier. It seems like this giant wall that's in front of him, and the robot stops in its tracks. When the robot tries to walk onto the barrier, it seems like the robot gets pushed over and slams to the ground. Izuku would then immediately levitate all the debris off of the girl and levitate her up and begin to more or less fly him and her to safety, putting her down next to Recovery Girl, and Izuku would smile and give her a thumbs up as he leaves. She tries to stop him, but he's just gone. It seems like Izuku somehow in his own mind and throughout this entire time, those 10 months meeting All Might, has come to peace with the restrictions and the positives of his quirk. His quirk may tear him apart if he can't keep a stable mindset, if he can't truly be in the right mindset. If anger takes over, if grief takes over, maybe, just maybe, he'll lose control. But at the same time, he's been gifted something, gifted a power so strong that he can truly become an amazing hero. So he has to just keep his head on straight and be like All Might. Be like All Might. Keep a smile on his face and save everybody. Izuku would be happy about what occurred. He would be pretty convinced that he definitely passed, and when he would head back home, it was as if it was just a formality. He would tell his mother exactly how he did and explain what's going on and what happened, and she would be excited to hear that, well, Izuku will be at UA. And a hologram message from All Might himself would confirm this. Izuku would be accepted into UA, and not only that, Izuku got first in the entrance exam, which does make him smile a little bit more than normal, because he knows who he beat out. Katsuki Bakugo. The fact that Bakugo has been so, well, let's just say mean to him throughout these years and so annoying in a way, well, it's kind of sweet for him to beat out Bakugo, especially because Bakugo wanted to win so badly. So Izuku was able to beat out Bakugo in the entrance exam in terms of points, whatever or however those points are counted up. And on top of that, well, he's getting into UA, Class 1A, the very top of that school. The best, the very best high school in Japan. He's excited. So when it's finally time to head over to UA, it's a complete dream for him. He's dreamed of this since he was a kid, dreamed of this ever since he started training, working, and trying everything he possibly can to more or less get ready for UA, get ready to use his quirk. He would stand in front of the school in complete awe as students would slowly walk in, and it seems like they share a very similar resemblance to Izuku in terms of how excited everyone currently is. Izuku would walk, and he would eventually come across a giant door, a door labeled 1A. He would immediately think that some giants must be going to class with him, but he would walk in, and he would see that many of them are of similar stature as himself. And guess who else is there? Katsuki Bakugo. He would see Bakugo but just relatively ignore him. Izuku reminds himself to stay calm, happy, or excited. Don't go off the rails. Don't get frustrated. Don't get mad at this guy because of just whatever personal issues he has with his own, I don't know, masculinity or something. Izuku just keeps reminding himself to not worry, to not even worry about this person, and to just sit down and wait. Be patient, because the first day of UA is finally here, and he's excited. Izuku would sit down and await the teacher's arrival, but many would walk in, and one actually, in fact, would recognize Izuku. That's Momo Yayorozu. Momo would approach him, and they would immediately get to talking just a little bit, talking about their experience through their own exams, which she got recommended. So her exam was a little bit different, in which they haven't talked that much at all throughout this time, especially because he kind of just saved her and then went on his way. They haven't really kept in contact that much, but they catch up a little bit, and eventually it would lead to Aizawa walking in, telling them all to sit down because it's not time to make friends. They would all sit down and await whatever they have to do. A lot of them thought that it would be an easy day, something very, very simple, but that's actually not the case. What they're going to be doing is a bit of a Quirka's exam, something to test them out, something to see what they're really made of, and Izuku loves the idea of this. He's been doing this all his life. He wants to show exactly what he's capable of, and he'll get that chance. Because when everybody is up front and everybody is ready to go, he would be the first one up to bat. Throw a baseball as far as he possibly can. That's the first goal. He grabs the ball and he begins to hover it in his hand. And then it begins to float around him. And as he pushes his hand forward with a smile on his face, it goes launching so far that nobody can even spot it. Eventually, it would break the atmosphere and it would float into space. Izuku continues to smile as he looks toward Aizawa, and Aizawa would look at him and show infinity, which is surprising. Aizawa has made judgments and assessments on every single person here. In all fairness, he knows Izuku's powerful, but this powerful, that's not what he came to the conclusion at least not infinity powerful. He looks around and thought that only one person would get that just because of her quirk, and that's just because it works in a particular way. It would carry itself to space. But here's the thing. Izuku smiling. Why is he smiling? Aizawa is confused and uses this kind of as a teaching lesson, kind of as a way to get everybody serious. But when he brings up the fact that Izuku thinks it's all fun and games, well, he's gonna basically pull up the threat meter a little bit higher, being that whoever gets last place, well, will be expelled. But Izuku then tells him that he's up for a challenge, but the smile on his face isn't for the reason he thinks. Not because he's not because he's having fun. It's because he needs to have that smile on his face. He needs to be excited, and he needs to be, well, in the best mood possible. At least if he wants to be at his peak performance. Izuku would walk away, and Aizawa would ponder that and wonder exactly why. But still, he'll think on it. Peak performance. Is happiness attributed to his quirk? He's not so sure, but he'll think on it for a little bit. But still, the stance stays, and Izuku will have to go throughout the rest of this time with a bit of a challenge on top of it. But let's be honest, there is no chance Izuku's getting last place. The race, easy enough. The grip test, the stretching, anything you can think about, easy. Everything is easy for Izuku, at least at this moment, and that smile would never fade off of his face, and he would easily blow through everything, and he would be first in this quirk assessment with relative ease. And Aizawa would be pretty impressed, but this is something that he now would expect from him. It makes sense that he would go this distance. With that said though, one person is in last place, being that of Hagakure, but Izuku would watch as Aizawa would more or less say that it doesn't matter, it's not that big of a deal, and that it was just a big hoax to make them try super hard. But that's obviously not the case. He wanted to expel somebody, but he saw something in all of them. Maybe they don't need that extra push. Maybe they just need to watch the people that are so far ahead and try and catch up to them. So the day would then be over, and the next day would eventually follow. The next day would be far, far deeper into what UA truly is, and that is hero training. Heroes versus villains. And with the one and only All Might. All Might would come barreling through the door with his signature, "I am here." And he would tell everybody to get ready and meet him outside at Ground Gamma, because they're going to be doing some hero training. They all get on their heroes outfits, and Izuku would don a very similar hero suit to All Might, or at least giving some resemblance. After speaking with the support people, he was able to get the hero suit altered just slightly enough to the point that it could favor his quirk, but also will look similar to what All Might would wear, or at least in terms of the way it's structured. With that said, he would arrive and see everybody there. He would arrive and see that everybody is in their hero suits, ready to hear what All Might has to say next. He would listen in, and All Might would explain that it would be heroes versus villains, a 2 versus 2 matchup where the villains have to protect a bomb in a giant building, and the heroes have to seize that bomb. Let's just say anybody who is on Izuku's side of things will definitely be on the easier side of things, because Izuku has a quirk that is perfect for this. He can not only make himself fly and levitate, he could also just drag the bomb out wherever he is, and he's able to utilize this quirk relatively easily, especially when it's going to be Ochaku Uraka and Izuku Midoriya versus Katsuki Bakugo and Tanya Ida. The plan is simple, especially on the hero side being that of Izuku's side. He would easily float up with Ochaku to spot where the bomb is, and they would just shatter the glass and touch the bomb. That easy, that concise, that smart, that easy. Izuku knows that has no reason to draw out a fight with Bakugo, especially because it could flare emotions. He doesn't want to flare his emotions more than he possibly has to, so that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to find the bomb, he's going to touch the bomb, and it'll be over. And it happens just like that. That easy. He makes it look like a joke, as if more or less this challenge was not a challenge at all. And when Bakugo finds out that he already lost in a matter of maybe 30 seconds, he's furious. But Izuku is already back at All Might, and All Might's already telling them that is exactly what a hero needs to do. Be smart, be concise, be fast, and be structured. That's exactly what a hero needs to do. There's no reason to be flashy. There's no reason to take on fights when you don't have to. And yes, of course, All Might is one of the flashier heroes, but not drawing out these fights is something that everybody needs to think about. Not drawing out these fights is something that everybody needs to make sure they remember. Because at the end of the day, these fights are not for entertainment. They're for training. When you're out on the field and you're more or less trying to save people, you don't want to draw out your fights for no reason. That's exactly what Bakugo wanted. He wanted to draw out this fight to actually fight Izuku. Izuku didn't allow it, and he just won the round, or won the time. Very, very easily at that. All Might commends them, and all of the rest of the fights and the training sessions go on without a hitch. After it all is said and done, Class 1A would be sent home. But what they wouldn't realize is that in the coming days or so, the craziest and biggest feat they will see ever, at least to this extent, will begin. They all think being a hero is fun, is advantageous, is something that everybody in society wants. But this is the dark side of what hero society is. The invasion of the USJ is upon us. When all of them think that they're going to be doing some rescue training, some working out and regulating and helping various people and learning how to rescue, well, they're going to be learning how to survive. It all starts with the same day where Aizawa tells them all to hop on the bus and head off to the USJ. Nobody even knows what's going to happen. Nobody at all. No feeling of being afraid, no resentment, no nothing. No feelings at all. Actually, only excitement. The USJ, training, being a hero, being at UA high school is something they all have been enjoying and they will continue to enjoy. And they all talk about whose quirk is the strongest. Is it Izuku's, Bakugo's, Todoroki's? They're not so sure, but a smile pertains over all of their faces. That's until they're in the USJ. They may have been greeted by a pro hero, and they may have been greeted in with open arms by Pro Hero 13, but when those doors swing open and the portal by the fountain opens up, being that gateway to the real hero world itself, everyone would be stunned. Because villains are no fun in games, especially these. Shigaraki, Kurogiri, and Anomu would arrive with hundreds of villains. Villains that want All Might's head. Now this is something they weren't prepared for. They've only seen the propaganda. They've only seen the good stuff. They've seen All Might save people. They've seen happiness built from heroes. They've seen smiles. They've seen All Might smile. That's it. They haven't truly seen real villains. And these aren't basic bandits. These aren't basic villains. These aren't some regular villain that you would see on the street snatching a purse. These want all of them dead. These villains want the death of All Might, and they'll do anything to get it. Izuku would see all of this occurring and would be stunned himself. How can he face villains and still smile? All Might would, but he's not All Might. He's the farthest thing from it. He doesn't have the quirk All Might has. He's not the person All Might is. How? How is he supposed to smile in the feet of danger? How is he supposed to smile and still take on these villains that are in front of him? Well, Izuku wouldn't understand, but it feels as if his body does. The villains would come forward, Aizawa would step up, and the fight would ensue. The fight would take a pretty quick turn when the Warp Gate villain would send everybody their separate ways, eventually leading Izuku off to a different direction. But this time around, Izuku was completely locked in. Happiness is one thing. Trying to get the most out of this quirk is another. And knowing when to be happy, when to keep that smile, but at the same time, keeping your mind at ease, staying calm. So when he's dropped in that water and he sees creature after creature surrounding him, Asui isn't the one to save him. No, he saves himself. He begins levitating through the water, and as his head trickles above that said water, everything, including the villains beneath him, begin to levitate up. Slowly but surely he begins to climb, and the water itself climbs as well. Izuku reaches out and begins to sway the villains together, one after another, 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 of them who are currently in the water trying to basically take advantage of their gills, their fast swimming, and their razor sharp teeth. Izuku refuses to allow them to move, refuses to let them go. The water around them begins to swirl around Izuku, and they begin to more or less get swung around, circle after circle, as this water tornado begins to pick up. The eyes of Izuku seem stoic and calm, but at the same time focused, laser focused. Izuku would slam the water back down, and even the villains across the USJ would hear and see this. Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Shigaraki would look over and would wonder what the hell did that. It must be another pro hero. He would be wrong. It's not a pro hero. It's just a student. Izuku would immediately go and get Asui and Mineta, helping them get to safety. But just as he floats over toward Aizawa, he sees a ton of these villains. A ton of the villains Aizawa is fighting. Izuku would reach out with one hand and all of them would freeze in place, stop, and then drop instantly as if their whole body was numb. They couldn't feel a single thing and they were unconscious in a matter of seconds. Izuku would flop to the ground but would stagger back to his feet. Yes, this did take a lot out of him, and he's still trying to stay calm enough that it doesn't hurt him. He looks toward Aizawa, and Aizawa is shocked to see this, because even the potential of this kid, it surprises him every second he sees him do something. He nods toward Aizawa, telling him that they can handle this now, and they'll be able to do this before even All Might arrives. Shigaraki would mock this, telling him that All Might is the only way that they'll be saved, because he's running on fumes. The Nomu would come crashing in and immediately would smash Izuku in the face, punching him square in the jaw, sending him flying. He's able to catch himself before slamming into the wall, and he looks up to see Aizawa basically just dodging. But you can't play defense forever, and against a killing machine made to murder the #1 hero, Aizawa would fall short. Far, far short. Punch to the body, a punch to the face, and one giant throw by the Nomu is enough to shatter ribs and the jawbone of Aizawa, putting him down bad. And Izuku would see this, and his eyes would flicker, tear. And Izuku would immediately dash over toward Aizawa, and he would dash away once again, putting Aizawa on the ground near the other people. Of course, before he can do anything else, other students and other people will stand in front of him telling him to not move, don't do anything rash. They don't know what's going on and they have to wait for All Might. Izuku's smile would widen, but this smile seems to be gritful. He's grinding his teeth. It seems as if he's holding back anger, but at the same time, you can't hide anger. You can't hide the feeling, and it's already taken its toll. His voice would contort as if the telekinesis itself was making his voice more monotone, more deep, strengthened, and he gives them a get out of my way. Now. He would move them aside as if they were nothing, and in a blink of an eye, Izuku was already back on the battlefield. They all stand there stunned. How? He has a telekinesis quirk. That is not telekinesis. No, it's different. Far different than you could possibly imagine. Izuku can use telekinesis to make himself go faster, move quicker, and he can utilize this at various strengths. Right now is what he's worried about for so long. His anger, his stress is now becoming his strength. His eyes color flickers in and out of that green to red as if it's tearing across his face. His body itself is adjusting from the normal version of his telekinesis to the heightened strength, and the Nomu gets the one signal to charge forward by Shigaraki. Shigaraki tells the Nomu, "Go, kill the kid before All Might would even arrive." And the Nomu wouldn't move an inch. Not a single inch. But the Nomu would begin to vibrate, as if, well, you could say it's trying to move. Shigaraki screams at it to move now. Shigaraki would then tell Kurogiri to move the Nomu toward the kid. Maybe if he's closer, he'll close the gap better, but Kurogiri can't move either. Not an inch. Izuku is now holding them still, as if they're not allowed to move, not even a single little millimeter, not a single centimeter, not an inch. They are not going to move at all. He holds them still and tells this hand-faced villain to leave now, or else he won't be able to hold back anything anymore. Shigaraki calls him an idiot, a freak. He must be joking if he thinks he can do anything. Just as, well, Shigaraki's saying this, the Nomu begins to fall down. Slowly but surely, the body on him begins degrading as Izuku contorts his hand, closing it slowly but surely, but as his fingers seem to be extremely injured and breaking at the same time. Izuku begins to shred the Nomu's durable skin as if it's softening up like butter in a microwave. Smashing. And same thing with Kurogiri's armor. His armor that was made to protect him now becoming a weakness, smashing into him over and over, feeling as if the pressure itself was the gravity increased by 10-fold, 100-fold. Shigaraki tells him to make a portal now. Now! As the portal opens up, Shigaraki and Kurogiri get through it, but just as they do, well, All Might comes soaring in and smashes his fist into the Nomu that's already down, but not out for the count, but now with one punch, the Nomu is done. Aizawa would look up, basically half out cold, and he would see that it seems the battle is over. Izuku, though, would dash forward toward the portal, trying his best to pull them back through, and as he does, he actually pulls the hand of Shigaraki through, and one of his hands would be cut off entirely, sliced off in one clean motion, and Izuku and his face with a smile would be haunting. Everybody watching would be, in a way, terrified, but at the same time impressed. What the hell was that? How did he do that? What's going on? Of course, people like Momo Yaoyorozu and Bakugo never would have thought Izuku could do this in such great heights. Bakugo feels like he's falling behind once again, and Momo thinks that this version of him is so much different than the one that saved her defensively When he was happy, the mass majority of the time, he's using defensive mechanisms. We're talking about giant barriers, as if the wind itself has made concrete in front of him. This was different. Bone shattering, fist clenching. That's exactly what Izuku became when anger strained him. He looks at the hand of Shigaraki, and as he does, it feels that the whole world is shaking. Out of nowhere, his eyes would flicker once again, fading back to green, but at the same time, the vision he sees 6, no, 12, no, 18. He's dizzy, as if he just got punched right in the face, right in the jaw, and he collapses to the ground, out cold. Nothing. Everything's calm. Nothing was moving in the first place. Izuku is feeling the after effects of his ramped up quirk. Now that he's out cold, Aizawa passes out as well. It seems like the worry for his student kept him awake even with broken ribs and a shattered jaw. All Might picks up Izuku and goes over to Aizawa, picking him up as well to bring him to Recovery Girl. What just happened? What do they say to the kid that just destroyed something made to murder All Might? What do they say to the kid that just basically solely fended off a villain attack from the League of Villains? What do they say when he wakes up? Well, you'll have to find out in part 3 of What If Deku Had a Telekinesis Quirk. And if you enjoyed, make sure to show some love, hit the like, hit the sub, and hit the comment down below, all that good stuff. And I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.